All right. It seems to be working now. All right, there we go. Now we are, in fact, live on YouTube, I suppose. How can I know that? Well, it says live. All right, good. Cool, cool, cool. Let me copy then this chat somewhere and put it on this other screen so I can also read chat if somebody, I doubt so, but if somebody shows up on YouTube. Yeah, okay, let's leave it there and let's see how it goes. I can also read the chat there. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, okay, so, well, good to see you, especially some of you guys that, well, actually, most of my viewership is fellas that used to hang out with me here for a long time, so that is a super lovely thing. All right, let's see. So what is this trying to change? File changes. Okay, so it's updating the log file. That's... And let me actually check on one thing. Did we break production? No, we didn't. Okay. What? Yeah, this is... Yeah, really? Okay, that's a bit weird. I don't think that this is... My pleasure, man. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Okay, let's try to merge this. I actually don't know. Super weird. Like, I don't know how this fixes a security issue though. But it doesn't. So no chance that it does. No, absolutely no chance. Let's pull this. Is there like something we have to do still? No. Okay. Yeah, I hate this. I hate this, and I hate having to deal with those. I mean, I know it's not a vulnerability because it's not a running in production code, but either way, let's see. Upgrade Fastify. No. This one, this had a breaking change, I believe. Let me actually check. I had to revert this crap. I had to revert this stuff. If I take a look at releases here, right? So there's a, yeah, this is a major, there's a major version bump. Yeah, that's too much. They bumped the actual underlying type box by 1 to a major version. So yeah, so we would basically now need to read all the change logs of the type box itself, right? To see what they changed. Yeah, right. Yeah. So probably they released some sort of a major version. Let's see. What? Yeah, right. So they were probably in a... So, yeah, I see. So there was a release candidate here. And then they released on September 9th the major version, right? Finally. Yeah, I'm not going to bump that. God knows what changed there. But I think they also changed the from required to import and stuff. So they did a lot of... I don't care. All right, cool. Yeah, let's leave it there. Let's leave that there. Let's try doing some work that's hopefully fun to some degree. I don't know. We'll see. What did I want to do? Is this AI? Becca is here. Hey, Becca. Yeah, I mean, it was literally because of you. I shit you not. You just gave me an idea. I just needed a little push, to be honest. I just needed a little push. That's all. Okay, so no, genuinely, like I just literally needed a little push. Give me 1 second. All right, so I think what I would like to do today is design a yeah, this is an old GitHub mug. I have it for like probably more than 10 years. I have two of them. I have a black one and the white one. On the black one, when my son was small, he broke this like holder, but I managed to glue it. How many active users per month? Not many, man. I mean, I have maybe 2,000 users signed up, but only hardcore fans of Alex, of myself, come, and sometimes I even don't visit it, right? So I haven't worked on programmer network in 8 months now, so I'm kind of getting a little bit back. So yeah, but again, as I said, when the platform has value, it will have users if it ever provides value. So I don't care. I mean, I'm not building it for the business reasons. If I was, I wouldn't be building it at all. I'm just building it for other reasons. And Arcadia, hey man, good to see you as well. It's going really well, man. We had another baby and work and stuff like that. So very, very much the same as always. Okay, let me just focus on one thing very quickly. So what I want to, at least this stream, what I want to do is I want to design some sort of a scheduler as part of our infrastructure. You're building programming networks to use it as portfolio. No, not really. No, I am building it because I had this idea for a decade, right, or more. So it's just a project to have fun with and keep building on something, right? And it's a challenging thing, right? When you build a social network, it's like infinite how much things you can add on top of it, right? Like social platform is well, I have 2 kids now. So one is 6 years old, Nikolai, and Dosete is I mean, we would also want that, but I don't think it's feasible financially and etc. But thank you very much. Okay, so what I want us to do is build a cron, either cron scheduler or something like this. So here in the meetups, when we organize a meetup, you can actually get alerts and stuff, right? I think Numinex, so let me give you my prediction. Let me give you my prediction of social interaction online. This is a prediction. I had it for around 3 years now. And actually, year by year, I'm even more assured that my prediction is going to be correct. I think that because dead internet theory is happening already, basically, to summarize for those of you who don't know, that internet theory basically states that eventually the internet is just going to be filled with a bunch of bots talking to each other. And this is not the future, this is the presence. It's the present, and we see this on LinkedIn, we see this on all platforms, we see this on these other platforms, TikTok, TikTok, whatever is it called, where AI is pretty much generating everything and all the engagement goes between the AI bots, right? So my prediction is that social platforms like Programmer Network and probably many others in the future will be a sanctuary for people who actually want to talk to real people. I shit you not. So this is not some sort of a marketing PR or anything like that. It might not be Programmer Network or whatever it is, but I think Reddit is fucked. LinkedIn is fucked. I don't have any other. I only have LinkedIn. I can only presume Facebook and these other, right? So I think platforms, smaller community platforms like Programmer Network or whatever network of some interest, like Kayak Network or the networks where people with the same interests can talk about that specific interest, that's not hard to imagine that it's going to exist. And how do you fund that? You fund it by either private donations from people who like that, right? So I mean, right? So whatever it is, maybe a Discord for sure, exactly, right? But I think that these modern platforms that exist today, they will cease to exist for all normal people, right? When you go to LinkedIn today, when you read the comments, every single comment almost is written by N8N or Zapier. You can see that people automate this with LinkedIn's API and stuff, right? So they schedule, I'm going to write, my bot is going to write this many comments, right? How do you think full stack devs should focus on something specific when AI is becoming bigger? I mean, you should always strive, man, to become an expert at whatever you do. And you should never worry necessarily. Experts, people who are good at their job, almost certainly will always have some sort of a job, right? But for sure with AI, so for example, let me show you one thing that I'm doing now. So I'm learning PHP again because I didn't write it in 20 years, a little bit less than 20 years. So let me give an example why. Let me show you why. So for me, AI is most amazing thing about AI is learning, right? So you can really like learn anything so fast that it's almost like a dream for me. I always dreamed that I had some robot to talk to and go back and forth and challenge it and vice versa, right? So let me show you here. So this is my Gemini. I use Gemini. And here I told Gemini, hey, Gemini, you know, I'm a programmer. I've been doing this for a long time. And with that said, you know, teach me PHP, right? And then Laravel, right? Because it's been many years. So short story, right? It's so good and it's so amazing, especially if you're an expert in some existing skills. Translating these skills into something else is very different. So for example, if you know C++ or C or JavaScript, you know the concepts of memory, concurrency, error handling, exceptions, etc., etc., etc. If you know these things already, learning a new language now with these guided learnings like Gemini is so easy, because you can almost map, okay, this is how, you know, Rust works or Go. So I know that, so can you translate that into this language, right? So it's absolutely fascinating what you can learn. Did you change the main color? I did change the main color at one point, yeah. But I don't like it still. I keep changing it. I don't know which one I like the most. A long time no see. Hi, YouTube. Good to see you as well, Didi. Rebecca, actually, I know because we are a GCP partner at Dream Data, so we abuse... looks good. Thank you very much, Ned. That's very kind of you. Thank you, man. That's good feedback. But either way, I think, just to get back to the original question, like what people should learn, this was a question about full stack. I think that upskilling now has never been easier, which means that each one of us almost must learn several other technologies to what we already know, right? So for example, literally today, if you ever wanted to learn, let's say, JavaScript or Rust or Haskell, Clojure, Pascal, Cobol, whatever, go to Gemini or ChatGPT, Mistral, whatever AI you use, turn on some guided learning or whatever, and say, hey, I'm a Haskell programmer, I know about these concepts, blah, blah, blah. You know, I want to learn Python in one day, right? And you literally can. I mean, learn. Of course, what you can't do in one day with anything, you can't build a muscle memory. So you can't say in one day I'm going to become fluent in writing, let's say, Python, because it takes a little while to memorize the syntax, you know, memorize certain things. But to understand the core, for example, this morning I was writing some PHP, and I asked it, hey, how does the how does it implicit coercion differ in JS and in PHP, right? You know, how does the, and it's so nice, man. It just explains. It wrote me the truthiness table. It showed me the difference between, let's say, double and triple equal in JS and in PHP. So some of these things are so great. Again, so that's why if you're not an expert in one language already, try to get there. Try to learn the core concepts of system design and memory management. And then when you know this, then learning any language it literally takes a couple of days, mainly because the same thing translates into that, right? I want to learn Angular signals in one day. I mean, you could literally, like, look, I mean, the AI is great because you can do things like this. Explain in 1 minute. What patterns are behind it? Okay. It's all about how you compose the question, right? And also what Rebecca says, literally, yes. So this is literally what you, it's, so there you go. This is signals explained in 1 minute. So the core pattern behind signals is observer pattern. Observer pattern is one of the patterns that every programmer should know. And if you know what observer pattern is, you already can understand signals, because Angular signals, I actually don't write Angular anymore for many years, but like all of these acronyms, all of these fancy abstraction names are always abstraction over known patterns, right? If you focus on observer pattern, if you actually go to patterns dev and we search for observer and you actually focus on the understanding this pattern itself, then you will understand what a signal is as well, right? So this is exactly proves my point. You have to understand these patterns are not, they're technology agnostic, right? So they're not related to any specific language. So you get what I mean? So if you manage to focus on learning the fundamental patterns, then any language you go to, these patterns apply. Chica, my friend, hey. Okay, anyway, so let's get back to programming network here. We might need to do some infrastructure today, maybe some backend or whatever. So let's see what it is that we want to do. So we want to have some microservice, right? We want to have some cron. Let's actually not call it cron, right? Let's just say here some service to publish messages, right? Okay. And this service is probably going to have some memory, Redis, or let's say Postgres. So it depends, either in-memory storage or we'll see. And then we'll need it because when we create a meetup and someone subscribes to get notified, right? We need to be able to do that, right? So somebody does this, some message is stored somewhere or whatever. And this can be done in kind of push-pull. Yeah, the baby is crying. My wife is on it. Actually, fuck, you guys can hear it. That's crazy. Okay. And then it would be nice that we kind of can monitor this as well. Iggy for storage, okay. I mean, maybe, right? So this is kind of what we're going to need as part of our infrastructure here. And of course, the couple of things that come to my mind, open source is like RabbitMQ, right? I mean, PubSub is GCP, so it's not open source, but that's what come to mind. What was it? What was the name of the thing that we used? What we tried before? Man, what was the name of that thing? No, I'm not gonna use any cloud. I have my own Kubernetes cluster here, bare metal. So everything has to be. No, it's none of this, man. What was that? Fuck. Nodejs. Q. BullMQ, exactly. BullMQ. So there's this one as well. Even though we would not run this as a microservice, we would run this as part of our actual node process. There's a BullMQ. What else do we have? So let's actually get rid of the GCP stuff because that's not an option. So we have RabbitMQ alternatives. ZeroMQ. What is that? Never heard of that. Okay, interesting. Let's see. An open source universal messaging library. Okay, which language is this written in? Okay, I like this. Smart patterns, PubSub, push. Very good. I like that. Doesn't really matter for us. We have no trap. It's in C. Oof. That's nice. Multi-transport carries messages across ICP, TCP, UDP, TIPC, multicast, and WebSocket. Crazy, good. Okay, let's do the due diligence. How many stars does it have, even though? Okay, so here is the Node.js bindings for it, right? I mean, so for now, right, I actually don't care about the overhead at all. I don't care about performance at all. I mostly care about plug and play type of behavior, right? So right now, I need something that I can implement in 2 hours, right? So because again, I don't want to pretty much like this this is written in C, and if it's written for embedded devices, it's already implicitly clear that it's performant, right? Because we all know that when we design our own PCBs, IoT and stuff, you're working with such limited memory, limited CPU. So fundamentally, we know that they have to be performant, right? So I'm not worried about that at all. I'm more worried about does the interface look like, how easy it is to use, right? How is the error handling, et cetera, right? So these kind of core questions. Let's see what the community says. Actually, you know what? Let's deploy an agent that's gonna help us. So let's go to Gemini. Let's create a new chat. Let's do deep research here, and let's say find the most suitable messaging queue library similar to PubSub used in the Node.js world, either as a microservice or as part of the existing Node API. I much rather prefer this than asking the AI, because this thing actually goes to Google and shit, reads the comments from, Reddit and other things. So this is actually is way more, I think, useful and reliant than asking the AI to tell me something that it has from 3 years ago, right? So let's let it here do the research for us while we. Okay, well, anyway, so if we go back to our Draw.io, where is it here? So we have this C version as well. 0. So let's just say 0MQ. Cool. What else? What else do we have? Any other suggestions? We have BullMQ. This one I've tried. It's actually very nice. It also has cron job capabilities and stuff, which is very nice too. It has a very nice interface. It has an okay documentation. Performance-wise, I don't know, and I don't care. I mean, we don't need this to the amount of we're not, like, for example, at Dream Data, where I work, we use GCP PubSub, and we deal with millions of messages, right? Because we use the PubSub for our analytics.js, so for tracking. So, and we have many customers that use our tracking script, so we need the queue to be as fast and efficient as possible, to have retry mechanisms. Then we're using temporal as well, et cetera, right? None of that is needed here. I literally need some message somewhere to be, right? A Redis PubSub. Ooh, really? I didn't know there's this. Ooh, man, this could be that. Yeah. Fuck. This I like. Thank you. This I like instantly. Because I don't need to add an external service. We already are using Redis for many things. Yes. Fuck yeah, man. That's good. Oh, this would be amazing if it works. Let me read. Yeah, but you know that Redis has a persistent memory as well. So I wonder if we can combine it in the cases of disasters, random shutdowns, restarts. I wonder if you know that Redis persistent storage, because you can toggle it, right, by a flag. I don't remember what the RDB, right? Or actually, no. They have several file storage formats, right? So I wonder. PJ Bo, hey buddy, good to see you again, man. Okay, and that's Numinex what I was asking. So you're saying we cannot use it? Okay. The thing is, right? Like, I mean, there are two ways to do this, right? There's a simple way, a hacky way, and then there's a queue type of event-driven way, right? Right now we're discussing this as an event-driven approach, right? But there's another way, right? We can do some sort of like polling or whatever, right? So what we could do is like have some cron. We could have a cron, you know, that runs every minute, literally, if we want to, that fetches, right? Fetch all meetup notification records from Postgres, and for each whatever, do X, right? So this way, there's really, so once you subscribe, we store that in our Postgres, like, hey, user wants to be notified about the event on 27th of October, right? So we could also do this. I mean, not to, because again, I think it would be fair to say here, to ask a question: what is the advantage for this given use case going with event-driven approach, right? I think this is incredibly important to ask, because of course it's tempting from the nerd perspective, like, oh, we're gonna add an event-driven system, cool. But the core question is, right, because this is the use case, right? Like, someone clicks a button, notify me of this meetup event in X days, X time, right? So this is the use case, right? And then we need to store that somewhere into something, right? So of course now we could push that into some queue, right? And then that queue is gonna do whatever. It's gonna flash that or do something with that message eventually. Or we just store this into Postgres and have a cron function running, you know, every, I don't know, 5 minutes, right? So I think maybe this would be better, right? Because then we don't need to worry about the queues and persistency of it, retry mechanisms and stuff. If we just say, hey, user has subscribed, so we literally have a table somewhere. Like if we take a look at our existing tables, so we have meetup, blah, blah, we have several meetup tables. We could also have like, you know, something like meetup meetup subscribers, right? Here we would have user ID and event time and date, whatever, I don't know, something like that. I'm just thinking out loud here. And then if we would run a cron function every n interval, we would always fetch this and say, is there something is there someone that we should notify now, right? So, I mean, and that's not an expensive operation, querying a single table in a database, right? So if we would say, you know, give me all the subscribers, and then, you know, I don't know, maybe we have some sort of a rule. Of course, this changes it a bit if we have in the UI a capability for the user to say, hey, user, how often do you want to be notified of this event? Then we would have to have more fields here, right? X, Y. But if we just say, hey, we're going to notify a user. Yeah, exactly, Numinex. That's the thing, right? We have no users, right? And this is a brand new feature that. So again, I mean, I think the core question here is like, do we want to have fun, or do we want to like the approach we're going to take here is more going to be about, do we want to learn something new and implement something cool, or do we want to solve a problem in the most pragmatic way, right? Because, for example, I have N8N running here as part of my Kubernetes network. I could also go to N8N, create a workflow there, expose my endpoint, and tell to N8N, hey, N8N, call this endpoint from my API every nth interval. So I could solve this using N8N or Zapier if I was to pay it in right. So it's more about, right, like, I don't want to introduce. So my prediction is that with all of these agents and all of these third-party services and APIs, you know, that ChatGPT now has, that OpenAI has exposed and stuff, you're gonna have all of these segregated systems which are gonna fail at random points, at random times, and nobody's ever gonna know what's happening, right? I think there's nothing more deterministic than writing APIs yourself. Because, of course, you invest the time up front, but you know exactly where that code is, what that endpoint does, versus, you know, creating these graphical user interface workflows. Everything is a black box, right? Exactly, Numinix. Exactly, right? Well, you know what's the value of this, right? We can do this very transactionally, right? So, for example, for us, creating a retry mechanism in this context, if a user subscribes, is awesome because, for instance, we can creating a retry mechanism going this simple route is actually fairly simple. Not to mention that we're not introducing an additional microservice, which then, of course, like, microservices are probably in 85% of companies anyway implemented wrong, right? So the premise of a microservice isn't necessarily performance; it's ownership. So the main value of microservices is ownership. So you can have different types of teams writing different technology, deploying independently of you, and many other things. So it's like, also for me, like, trying to not introduce a microservice whenever I don't have to is also always one of the top things. Is like, how can we? No, it has nothing to do with scalability. No, microservices have very little to do with scalability. I think that's a massive false premise that was sold when it comes to microservices, right? Microservices, in many ways, you could say, are even anti-pattern to scalability, right? Because scaling what, right? I mean, certainly not APIs, right? You don't need microservices to scale APIs, right? So there's a lot of, yeah. No, I mean, I don't think that microservices are wrong in any context. Microservices are simply microservice as a concept is the same as Hammer as a concept, right? What do I mean? Well, both of these things are tools, right? So they're equal in a sense of that, right? Now, you're not going to use Hammer to cook, right? And you will also not use a microservice because someone else is doing that. So that is the whole point. everything that you have in engineering is a tool. Most of the things are classified as tools, and every tool has a use case, reasoning, and as long as your CTO, your tech leads, your team leads are making sure that these decisions are made based on why and value, then you will almost always make the correct technical decisions whenever you answer these questions, right? If your why is wrong and if there's no value, you're choosing the wrong tool, right? So the main benefit of a microservice is, again, ownership, right? It's literally falls under ownership, meaning let me tell you how we do microservices at Dream Data where I work. So at Dream Data we have data science team, we have my own team called app team, we have platform engineers, and this team here has something called sources and destinations, and we write microservices. Why? So our data science team writes Python, mostly Go, 99%, and there's some legacy system written in Python. Our data engineering writes Golang as well, and some legacy Python. And we, in my team, we write Fastify and also Go, right? So first we write separate technologies and we work on vastly different problems. So for example, sources and destinations team, they do things with various sources and destinations like big data, like Snowflake, etc., right? So their responsibility and what they do is vastly different than us. I build front-facing API that kind of implements all of these things. Platform engineers do various types of things, right? So for us, microservices are not even a matter of if, it's absolutely a must, because we use very different technologies, different databases. For example, our data science team uses Dataflow, Data Store, Vertex AI, Snowflake, GCP, whatever, cloud storage, etc. There's so many things, right? But if you're building a fucking app that's a dashboard, right? So you're building an app that's a dashboard and it renders some crap, and you have 5 microservices written in nodejs, right? That's a terrible idea, right? But anyway, let's... Lead Geek, thank you very much for the prime, man. That's very kind of you. How to write a Fastify in a modular way. Okay, but let's just stop here for a second. We continue this, and then we... Ajmal Yazdani, maybe. I mean, I don't have any plans to start any kind of courses right now, but maybe. Okay, let's get back to this. So let's design this system first now. Okay, so let's see how this works. And let's do it together. There are some people that probably know this better than me in this chat. Like Numinex probably is better than this than I am, most likely. So let's try to design this together. So let's imagine that we indeed have this table, meet of subscribers. It's almost like a junction table in a way, right? We're gonna have a user ID. We're gonna have some time when some event is happening. Meetup event subscribers. Let's imagine it's called. How can I write Fastify in a modular way so that I can turn each module into a microservice? I mean, I understand your question. I just think that the question itself suggests something that you should probably not do at the first place, right? I don't think you should ever break your Fastify application into microservices, right? And even if you do, right, technically, I mean, the premise of Fastify, right, the premise of Fastify as a framework is that if you encapsulate your features into plugins, you can take these plugins and move them to a different Fastify project, right? So that is the premise of it. And if you do it that way, then technically, I mean, you can just write tests in a very monolithic way. And then when you move your plugins to a different project, you can simply copy and cut your tests into there as well, right? But I don't think you should be thinking much about that, honestly. I mean, unless you're really like kicking ass and you're getting a massive influx of users every day and you have to start thinking about scale, then I don't think you should be spending your cognitive energy on thinking about what if one day, I have billion users, unless you're already there. Actually, Boo Boo Q, the reason why you can't, right, is because I don't think anybody does it. I don't think anybody does it. That's the thing. So unfortunately, when it comes to technology, right, and this Twitch and content creators are notorious for that, is software engineering is flooding in theory. A lot of people are very theoretical. People who read these articles, they follow these content creators. Many will tell you about all of the greatness of software engineering. You should do this, and you should do this, and this is how you do this. But in reality, software is written by people. Software is written in a very random, different circumstances every day. And there's always two parts of software engineering, the theoretical part and a practical one, right? And now, as Rebecca is making fun of it, true, now also we're producing so much code by AI as well, which makes this problem even greater, right? So a lot of these tools, when you go and visit their, exactly, for sure, we all have opinions, but these opinions, in majority of the time, don't translate into reality. That's the thing. Again, wanting something, suggesting something, knowing something doesn't translate into the product. That's the thing. Like, I've been working since 2008 in startups, in very rich, successful startups, in the smaller startups, and every single one of these startups had code that sucked ass, code that was a little bit better, and then some code that you could say was a little bit better than that, right? But I'm just saying, it's a lot easier to theorize about software than to write software, right? Because in theory, we all know everything, but in practice, it's very different, right? So that's what I'm talking about. We can, of course, have opinions, and we should, but like, whoever has ever worked or has sufficient amount of experience, no matter where you worked, Google, Facebook, your uncle's basement startup, you're going to find this to be true when you read the actual code. Because discussing code and drawing diagrams, and it's all great. But then when you add all the randomness, all the variability of many people working on it, different competences, different styles, different opinions, different values, that's very, very different, right? So, which basically only means that there's no such thing as perfection anywhere, neither in software engineering, and the only people who succeed at it are those that actually build things and ship them, because software doesn't have to be perfect; it just has to work. All right, so let's try to figure this one out, right? So let's imagine we end with this, right? Let's see if this is a good idea. We cannot start building anything until we at least have a solid grasp of if this is feasible or not, right? So let's imagine we have something like this. So we have some user clicks notify me of this event. Let's call it event, okay? Then what we do is we store a record we create a record in PG, Postgres, right? And that's great. So now we have some record in Postgres, right? Cool. And this event can be in 3 minutes. Chica, I love you, man. Thank you very much for coming. And then now we have some record in a database, right? And then if we have some cron function somewhere, cron fn somewhere, this cron function can be like select all from meetup event sub whatever. Whatever, something like this, right? Now we would need, from the user like a user experience perspective, design this system. Like, when do we want to notify a user that there's going to be an event, right? And this is maybe the last piece of data we need here. So let's imagine in the UI we would allow a user to choose when to get notified. Like, should it be notified 1 day ahead, 10 minutes before, right? What do you guys think? Any opinions, right? So let's imagine, so this is what we're kind of trying to figure out. So you see here, this is like a meetup event. There's going to be like a notify button here. So when a user clicks, and let's imagine this event is tomorrow. When do you think, from a UX perspective, that users should be actually notified? Maybe it could be a setting. I like it. I also think that. But should it be a setting per event or a global setting per account? Morning of the event. Okay, let's write it down. Let's write some notes down. Where is it? Where was it? A sticky. Wasn't there like a sticky note here or something? All right, never mind. Okay, let's just say morning of the event. Any other opinions? Then we said, Numinek said it could be a setting. Should this setting be global or per meetup? Well, these notifications are supposed to trigger email notification, right? So when this cron job runs, it's going to find these things, and we're probably going to shoot the emails then, right? And then probably in-app notification as well. Fuck, that's also what free space says is very, very true. Offline event needs more time than an online event. True, because a person has to walk to the meetup literally, physically, right? So they need to plan that way more. Offline, you're sitting home, you can just, open your phone and join, right? Very good point, yes. Just a date and time picker. No, the date and time picker will be there, right? Or are you suggesting that we should ask the user global default with per event override and multiple notifications week before, day before, whatever, and also need... Okay, very interesting. Let me see. Let me write that down. Very good. I like this as well. Yep, I think that's a very meaningful thing. Yes. So basically, what does this mean for us here? Well, this is the name of the event when the event is happening. So we're gonna, of course, we need this information. So when we compute our cron job function, we'll need to use this to know. Okay, interesting. And I actually like that. I think that's very customizable. The core question here, the core UX question here is, are we putting too much responsibility into the user's hands, right? Like, because is it like, does the average user know this, right? Because now you are left in a moment in the app, shit, these guys asked me when do I want to get notified? I think as a feature is nice. It's just let's philosophically, the average user just presses next and skip. I think also a good point. Yeah, but for what we can for sure, what we know for sure here, right, is that we're gonna have some like notify at or whatever. Let's just arbitrary like meta code. We're gonna have some notify at, maybe like an override, like someone says or whatever, where maybe user can say 1 day before, 3 days, whatever, right? Some relative date points. Then we're gonna have to compute the relativeness of it relative to the user's time zone, right? Which is gonna be a bit painful here. Fuck, such good points. Thank you very much, guys. That's so fun. So much fun doing it together. So I like this. I also like what Free Space said. Okay, so, but I think based on what you guys said, I actually think some very, very good points. Actually, most of them, to be honest. So I think for sure what I can see is that we need defaults. So we definitely need like, we need default globals for sure, right? So these can be like a standard thing. Notify me 7 days before, 3 days before, 1 day before, and I don't know, X hours before. I don't know. So we could have this that users could opt out from. We don't want to annoy them. And then again, if I was a product manager, if I was a good PM, I would probably say, you know, Alex, stop there, shut the fuck up and build this, right? So in a reasonable spectrum of, from a pragmatic perspective, even this is probably like too much already. Maybe we should just say notify 1 day before done, right? So, because this could become a rabbit hole, and we all know, if you have ever programmed in your life, how painful it is to work with dates, especially in JavaScript, right? So we're gonna have to get the time zones, offsets. Oh, should this be UTC time or non-UTC time? Like, working with dates is horrendous. Like, I hate it. And I spent probably, out of 15, 20 years of my career, I spent like a year in total failing at implementing dates, right? Because there are time zones and there are offsets and there's their saving times and then there's, right? And you need to be correct. So like less of the customizability you expose, less you open yourself up to fail, right? And then somebody says, oh, you notified me 3 days later or whatever, right? So, So that's why. But okay, very, very good. Let me actually save this diagram. Oh, actually, I did save it already. Very good. Okay, so let's write some arbitrary code, like some sort of a meta code for now in the backend. So let's. What the fuck is this? Okay, that's some stale folder. So meetups. Let's say service. So exactly, lead geek, exactly, man. Okay, let me actually, I'm just writing down. I mean, your feedback is very valuable, so would be silly to throw it away. Let's just write it here, what Rebecca said as well. So let's put it here. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, so let's write some arbitrary code here. It's not gonna be something we're gonna run yet, but let's call this provide private async. So we'll need two endpoints. We'll need one that actually stores the record, a post or whatever. So create a meetup event notification, right? Something like this. Let's not write any code yet there. Okay, so we'll need this. And then we'll need the one for our cron job to call, right? And this is going to be like private async get meetup event notifications. Sure. For now. And then we'll need the one that sends the notifications, right? Okay, something like that, I guess, if we're to design the API now, right? So this is going to be a post. When user clicks that button, we're just going to insert that record into the table that we don't have yet. We're going to create a SQLized migration file soon to do that. Then we're going to have to be able to get the notifications based on some criteria, I guess. And then here, right, this is where we're going to do a bunch of biz logic, right? So I guess in here, we're going to... Yeah, we're going to do something like this initially. And we need some sort of a query criteria, right? So how do we want to get them? Do we get all the do we get every single record from a database and then we filter them out based on some criteria? Like, what do we do? And initially with no users and stuff, that's a super cheap operation. Database can handle that in like a microsecond, no problem. So we could do that. So our cron job runs, our query criteria is like, hey, if we were to run it every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, we would have that 10-minute offset, I suppose. Like we could be 10 minutes too late or whatever. And then, of course, we need to delete the notification when it actually happens, right? So, and that's the beauty of this being transactional. We're going to clean up, right? So we're going to send the notification, delete the notification, right? Okay, cool. And then the question is, should we then use bullMQ for this, right? Because bullMQ, if I recall, if I go to their API, now if I go to their docs, they have job schedulers here, and then there's this repeat strategies, right? bullMQ comes with two predefined strategies for creating repeatable jobs. The every strategy is straightforward, allowing you to schedule jobs to repeat at specific intervals measured in seconds. We could do that, right? The more complex cron strategy uses a cron expressions, and this is what I already use, like the standard classical expression using this cron parser. And that's kind of standard, like a cron type of a string, right? Like, but let's find it where it is. So you see every job, blah, blah, every, so this is like a interval. And then there's a cron strategy here. And this plays really well with Node.js, with our Fastify API, mostly because we don't need an extra service. We just we install this Q library as a library itself, and it just works, right? The biggest fear of it, I suppose, is, of course, if our API farts out, well, so we need to see if these things are preserved. And I think they do have storage. They have some storage strategies. Persist. Yeah, so I think this for sure could be a way to move forward, right? I think so. Okay, let's elaborate all of this research, that all of the thinking now to the AI. So let's kind of okay. So after, okay, how do we start? How do we tell it? I would like to implement a notification, a feature in the UI where the user clicks notify about event button that will then create a record in our not yet table called meetup event subscribers. That table will contain a user ID, the event date and time, and some sort of notify at that can that would be an override of default global notification settings that we would create. Right now, I have just some meta code, the one I linked, and we will need to create a table, create a Sequelize migration file using Sequelize migrate CLI. And then we could use bool mq, cron strategy, cron job, query this table every nth interval, and shoot off emails using our SendGrid email client. Anyway, that is the base idea. Let's discuss it before we proceed. Let's put it in a plan mode. Yeah, that's what we did with the draw.io. And I think now we need to figure out what it is that we actually want to do, right? Like they say, cut once, measure 20 times, right? 500 times, whatever. So let's see. So now we've discussed it amongst ourselves, humans. Let's see what the AI thinks. Cut twice, measure once, exactly. Let's see what the robot is gonna, if the robot is gonna challenge our minds. So we are now primarily talking about implementing a feature where users can get notified of the meetup event. in our meetups resource. It's true. BullMQ is not set up yet, and it's not a mandatory tool. We just need anything with a cron job capability, something that has some sort of redundancy and something that we keep as part of our API instead of introducing an additional microservice. Code with Josh, reps. Hey, fuck man, let me actually check your channel. I need to follow you as well. How do I do that? Let me give you a follow, buddy. Follow. There you go. Smarty, my friend. Hey, good to see you. Okay, let's see what this guy is saying. Let's keep this good. Since you already have Redis set up, I can see your Fastify plugins. BullMQ would actually integrate nicely as part of your API without being a separate microservice. It would run within your API process. Exactly, so I just needed to confirm now what I want. Before I create a plan, I still need to clarify a few design decisions. Notification timing model. Should user be able to get multiple notifications for one event? Okay, so let's kind of answer it, all of these things, because I think I kind of gave it most of this stuff, but let's respond. So the user should be able to get multiple notifications for the same event at different times. For instance, we might want to notify the user 1 week before, then 3 days, 1 day, etc. The point is there should be a way for it to happen. Yes, the defaults should be hard-coded. Yes, we delete the notifications once the emails are sent. Let's not worry about the UI right now. Okay, so I think AI agrees with us in a way. Let's see. All right, let's see. Let's guide it as almost as if it was our junior of some sort, and let's see if it's gonna. Let's see what its plan is. Okay, very good. I like that. Oh, PJ Boy, thank you very much, man. That's very kind. Okay, so these are kind of the cron. Yeah, this is the beauty of BullMQ, because I don't remember which library underneath they're using, but they're using this. There's this cron type of library where instead of needing to write the cron strings, you can kind of write it in a very declarative way. You can literally say like, there, yeah, it's like, because nobody wants to memorize these crappy strings, right? Okay, so let's see. So this is good. I agree. Like, very good. Actually, they did this better than I would. I would have probably forgotten the unique constraints. So that's good. So AI is good there. Very good as well. Adding an index to notify at. Yeah, maybe we duplicate a bit of data, but we make the database more, the queries faster, more efficient. Okay, then install bullmq. Sure. Create a queue configuration. Yeah, sure. Initialize bullmq queue and worker with existing Redis connection. Yes, definitely. Set up notification worker. Implements the worker that queries meetup event notifications where notify is... Very good, actually, yes. Fetches event and user details, sends email via SendGrid, deletes, add a repeatable cron job every 5 minutes. I honestly think that's awesome, yes. Service layer implements methods. Subscribe meetup event notifications, create multiple notification records, remove all notifications for user event, returns user subscriptions, update constructor to inject meetup event notification model. Sure. Yes, this is what we already kind of did in a way, in a meta way. Yeah, I mean, the only thing, can I remove some of this crap? Email template, how can I, is there a way to edit this plan? I actually don't know. Can I edit this plan? Anybody knows? Okay, I mean, do we agree that this is good? I think this is a great plan. Yeah. Okay, let's okay, so let's can I remove this? Yeah. Yeah, so like, I don't know. Okay. Let's try build. Let's try build. Let's see what it does. And then we need to, of course, we can't trust it much, so we need to review the living crap out of it. Okay, very good. That's the way. Yes. Okay, installed that. Very good. I like it. Yes, also correct. Yes, agreed. Yes, very good. Very good. Whatsoever, AI is unaware of some of the crap that I made in this project, so that's not really going to work. Because now it has actually created the migration in here. So that's, I don't think that's gonna work. But let's give it a chance. Okay. Very good. Cascade is on, right? So that's very good. Very important, so we don't leave when we remove a user or whatever, we don't leave dead records. Make no mistakes. That's a good one. I mean, do really people do that? People write that, make no mistakes. Okay, that's brilliant. And write perfect code. Don't you dare to make a mistake. Ah, that's hilarious. Okay, that, yeah, wait. Okay, this is good because then we can use this as a type. We can infer the type, so this is going to infer the actual enum from this. So yes, that's not bad. This is a type array of this. Agreed. Meet event notifications. Yes, correct. Params. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Then we export some static types. We a type box. Sure. Then we create a model, meetup event notifications. Also agreed. Then we create some associations here. we're saying that this record belongs to a user, and on delete cascade, meaning nuke this as well. And then we're also saying that meet notification also belongs to an event. And also if the event is removed, we have on delete cascade as well. Okay, good. That is good so far. Here we add the model to my like centralized model place where I loop through them and stuff. Great. IO Redis. Okay, that's where the AI failed. I'm not using IO Redis. I'm using Fastify Redis plugin. So that's not going to work, but that's fine. We're going to fix that. Meetups email. Yeah, I don't need this bullshit, so I'll nuke that. And then meetup notification worker. Okay, this is RabbitMQ, I suppose. BullMQ, sorry. Yes. Oh, wow. Actually, it wrote pretty nice code. I like this. Wow. Okay. That is some very nice code. We'll review it soon, but... yeah, this is nice. This is very good. And then let's take a look at this crap here. Subscribe meetup event notifications. We create a transaction outside of the try catch, of course, because otherwise it would be a block scoped, so we wouldn't be able to use it in a catch. We try to find the event. If it's not found, we fire it out. We convert the date time to a JavaScript timestamp. Notifications. Okay, this is a little bit too imperative for me. I wish it wrote it a bit more declaratively, because I guess we create we initialize an empty array, and then we loop through crap and blah blah blah. Only create notification if notifies it in the future. True. We don't want to notify on previous events, of course. But cool. We commit the transaction. We're saying all good. Rollback, unsubscribe, meetup event notifications. Okay, I mean, this is like a helper function, but not mandatory. Get user meetup event notifications, notify at, ascending, very good. I would have not thought about this myself, so AI got me there. All right, I mean, that's very good. I like that. And then we have the actual... Yeah. I mean, that's very nice, man. I'm impressed. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Sure. Yeah, that is all acceptable, honestly. Yeah, that is very good. And then we initialize here in my app TS. Yeah, it's failing with some crap. We'll need to fix that now. Shutdown. Yeah. I mean, then there's some you know, graceful killing there. That's fine. Okay, let's keep all of it. Let's keep this. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I think it did really well. Yeah, to be honest, let's let it do this. That's also good. Yeah, this is, of course, yeah, we're using Fastify or Redis, but I'm going to tell it in a moment. Or did it actually install it? Yeah, I mean, wait, because Fastify Redis underneath is using IO Redis. Like every other library is using IO Redis, right? So I think it would be better if we try to reuse this. Let me actually... I need to talk to it just to, because I'm not gonna, you know, just blindly install additional library just because I need it for this crap, right? That's a little bit, we need to review that massively. This is good, just, it's very good at recognizing patterns. That's why it can write code like this, because, so I think one of the most fundamental things of having a very solid code base is that's where AI shines. Like if you see how AI just goes through every single of my resources and it's capable of producing so much awesome code simply because it looks at all of the other code and just replicates that and updates the names, right? That's the beauty. Like in a shitty code base, AI is probably going to perform pretty shitty as well. But if you kind of have some sort of respect for your work and some pride, then it's actually quite awesome because it can just look at the existing shit and just replicate what you already did, right? Like, Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. No, but I mean, yeah. And by the way, why is this? Okay, so it's complete. Let's actually give it this. Francisco Silva, I wasn't really feeling coding today. I want to code. Why do you like to use classes? I usually just write functions. I'm probably a person that hates object-oriented programming the most from anyone on this planet. So I do not like to use classes. I think times when I use classes is typically when I want to encapsulate library type of code under the same umbrella, right? So I think class. So when I talk about class now, I'm not talking about object-oriented programming. So I'm not using a class for the sake of objects per se. I'm using it mostly for the sake of organization. Because, for example, if we look at, let's find some utils or whatever. I probably have a bunch of utils somewhere. So let me show you some of my utils. So when you look at this string utils, right? Or let's take a look at something bigger. So when we look at this array utils, right? It's actually quite nice to organize your code. It's more about syntax than anything value-wise, right? So for example, there would be no difference if I exported these functions as functions and not as methods per se, right? Of course, you could technically say that wrapping your utility functions in a class, you could have a theoretical benefit in the future, because you could like use actual inheritance and you could implement something into something, right? But that's not the reason. So I don't want to bullshit you like say, no, but if I ever have to, you know, create a inheritance chain here, I would do that. No, I don't actually care. It's more that I like the syntax because, you know, I can just encapsulate, but there's no difference if I wrote this as function, some class, right? Or an arrow or a right function expression or function declaration. And I also did this method 1, method 2, blah, blah. So this is more or less, this is how we used to write the constructor function in JavaScript before we had class. So this is now technically the same constructor as, you know, we have it in a class as well, right? So, and of course, you could also export const method 1, right? So, so it's the same crap, right? It's just you do kind of also, you could get some benefits with inheritance as well, talking about the class, but that's not, so there's no glorified reasoning. It's more how the code looks like. Because I look at code as almost as something that has to look nice. Like when I read some of my code, is like, I think you just develop some sort of a feeling over it over time. It doesn't even matter what the code does. Sometimes it just looks bad and you're like, fuck, this doesn't feel right. Something feels wrong with it, right? And that's the beauty of having some of these synthetic sugar type of tools, because you can, you know, like, you can kind of make it look nicer for yourself, right? Like some of this code that I actually wrote, I kind of hate it because it's very imperative, but it's imperative for reasons, right? So for example, the for loop in JavaScript, for in or for off or whatever, is theoretically the most it's way more performant than running a function for each element in an array, for example, right? So for example, right, so there is so when you see a for loop here, but then you notice that I use map and reduce and dot values and stuff in many other places, there's actually a reason for that. It's not random. It's not a synthetical inconsistency. It's that when I'm converting a base64 to a blob, that is a far, far more expensive operation than looping through a list of 10 options in an input field, right? So that's why there are very few operations there, like file uploading, file validation and stuff, where you, even in the JavaScript land, wanna squeeze the best performance you possibly can. So that's why some of the things are like, when you look here, you could say, oh, why is there? You see the reduce here, for example, right? But then you go here and you see a for loop, a regular for C++ type of loop, right? So, yeah. Okay, this is fucking... So you see, this is absolutely terrible. Please, let's not use any, especially not manually casting values. Never manually cast. If you ever catch yourself manually casting a type, that's terrible, right? So then you're doing something wrong. If you ever have to say, no, this is in fact this, and your compiler is telling you otherwise, don't do that. So you see, this guy here now is... Yes, okay. Yeah. Fuck you. It just went ahead and did a manual cast. Yeah, I don't like this. Wait. Okay. All right, let's actually see what we've done. So we have a migration to create a table. Let's take a look at our Docker container here. Yeah, and also you have installed IO Redis, but we already have Fastify Redis installed. Can we reuse the Fastify Redis singleton instead of installing an additional library that is already used by Fastify Redis underneath? The user is right. I'm always right, man. Come on. How dare you say that? Are you suggesting that I'm wrong sometimes? See that, perfect. I can see app.redis is already available. Let's modify the queue setup to reuse the Fastify Redis connection. Yeah, okay. Sure. But let's see if that's actually gonna work. Ooh, yeah. We need to do a thorough review again. We need to do a thorough review here. Let's remove that dependency, sure. Okay, let's take a look at all the crap that was generated here. So we have the new constants file, all right? We have the email template that's gonna go away. We're gonna nuke that. Then we have a schema, basically, a SQLized schema, a model. Then we have some new endpoints. Actually, if I go to my Swaggerio, fuck, which endpoint is it running on? Docs, Swagger. Where are you, Swagger? Is it 5,000 or something? Nah, 5,001 maybe. Where's my API running? Shit, 8080? Nah, I don't think so. No? Maybe Swagger? Yes, it's this. Fuck. 5,000. No? Is my reverse proxy failing? Is my traffic failing? No. Shit, man. Is my traffic reverse proxy failing here? What do we have? Programmer network, API. No, not... Dude, where's my Swagger? Why am I... No, that's the... Man, come on, Alex. Not found. Okay, so my... Unless my API is actually farting out. I think that's what's happening. Yeah, of course, man. Our API is down. Yeah, sure. Your Redis options macro tries must be null. Okay, let's give this to AI as well. It has to fix this. I made an application for my game. I played, runs on my... That's very nice, man. React Webpack. You should probably not be using Webpack anymore. You should be using some other faster tooling. But that's awesome, dude. Webpack is very obsolete because it's been written in JavaScript. So it's probably something you want to, okay, here's our swagger. Okay, so if we go to meetups, because there's a lot of endpoints here. What do we have? Meetup event. Okay, so yeah. So that's very good. That's great. So actually, it is rendering, which is super. The only thing we're really missing here in the schemas is the... What? Yeah, so that's wrong, right? Ah, I see. Fair enough. Okay, so let's see. Let's refresh this. Meetups. Okay, so this is what we got so far, right? So we have the way to subscribe. This is the example payload. So it's basically just the relative constants. Very good. I like this because our UI can then just literally have these strings. But we'll see. It's going to be more complicated than that, I'm sure, because we'll need some sort of a time zone or whatever. Then we have unsubscribe and we have notifications. I don't think we need this the endpoint exposed though. Like, unless we're planning to expose them to the users somewhere in the UI, I don't see it right now. Like, where would we? Because the notification system I wrote for Programming Network long ago has nothing to do with this. Like, we already have notifications here, right? Ah, Bogdan, did somebody sign up? Ah, Bogdan was already signed up. Let me follow him. Yeah, so these notifications we have, they're very different. So we're not talking about that. Now we're talking about different types of notifications. All right, cool. Max retries per request. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So we'll need to run the migration. We need to take a look at that again. So meetup event notification. Let's see what the AI wrote here. It's very important we read. Meetup event notification migration. This migration creates the meetup event notification stable to enable users to subscribe to email notifications for upcoming meetup events. True. Features: users can subscribe to multiple notifications per event. Great. And notifications are deleted after being sent. Correct. Cascade deletes when user event. Very good. Index notify, very good. Unique constraints prevents duplicate subscriptions, very good. I mean, you cannot, this is awesome, right? So if you want to shit about AI, you can, but it nailed it, honestly. Let's see if it's going to work, but so far what I'm looking at is very good. It's very good. I have to choose a topic idea for my final, something about web app, mobile app, before I'm connected to it, but I don't know what idea to choose. I want something that can help me later on if I decide to open my own business. I think it's very important. Like, so I'll answer your question, but hear me just for a minute, please. When I started programming when I was very young, my first programming language was Pascal, and I remember when I was very young in the 90s, I watched this Hackers movie with Angelina Jolie, and I saw all of these terminals in the movie. Like, they were just pressing shit tons of keys, and terminals would like jump back and forth, and they would hack Pentagon, right, in 3 clicks. So when I was a kid, my first program was in Pascal. It was a terminal app where it asks you, what is your name? A CLI app. And I say Alexander. And then it asks you whatever. And I shared it with my friends, and they thought they were talking to, like, I don't know, God or whatever, right? So what I'm trying to say is that since I was very young, for me, programming was a tool to, like a hammer, as I always say, to build certain things, right? So what you should build, Flame, is really something that inspires you, right? Like if you're a sports person, if you're going to gym, build yourself a super simple, gym tracker. Create this many sets, this many repetitions from this many times, right? Or if you're a guitarist or a saxophonist. So I mean, it's super important from very early on in your career to understand that you are no different than a carpenter. It's like carpenter is gonna build doors and windows and shit, or whatever, or a wooden gun for your child. I remember my grandfather, all of my toys were made of wood. He would make AK-47 for me or whatever, some fucking stupid shit, right? So, I mean, treat your profession that you can now do whatever you want, and don't ask others what you should build. Build something that you're passionate about. If you're playing a video game, build something for that video game, some platform, whatever, right? So you're not constrained by what you can build. You're only constrained by your own imagination, right? Of course, man. I actually did grow up in a war zone. I come from Balkans, right? So I did live through 2 wars so far. So yes, that's why I look like this, the way that I look. All right. Okay, so but let me get back to this. I escalated this very quickly to AK-47. That was super fast. How did we go from notifications and messaging queues to a war? That's when you put a bunch of sweaty basement dwellers in the same room as we are all here now, it's just incredible. But we would have all the girls, I tell you. If there were chicks in here, like a bunch of them, they would be completely impressed how smart we are. We would definitely be fun at the parties. Like, people would just come here, hang out with me. You're so fun, Alex. Wow. Please. Happens all the time, right? Like, whenever I go to parties, people are like, yeah, tell me about your 2 wars and AK-47 made of wood, bro. That's so fun. I know, man. Bro, there's only 7 dudes watching you. There's around 40 people on Twitch, man. I'm streaming it on both platforms. And 7 dudes on YouTube is very good. That's very good. You are from Russia. I mean, if you want me to be, yes, definitely. Event, find by. This is basically the only logic that, this is the business logic that we're going to have to review, right? Exactly, Chica, exactly. All right, so this is kind of fine. So I think most of the stuff is fine, honestly. I mean, it works. I actually just don't know why was this necessary, though. Like, why was this necessary at all? That is a little bit confusing, right? So why did we need this? This type should suffice, right? Yeah, this also doesn't seem necessary at all. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure. Let's take a look at that. No, that's fine, right? Yeah, so that's fine. Q, let's take a look at this. Very good. And then we have the worker. So this is the only kind of part that I'm not very too familiar with, right? I think it's been like 2 years since we tried BullMQ. So how accurate is this is we're going to have to review, right? Because, I mean, I suppose we can trust it. So this is the interface here. Josh, yeah, we have tests in some places we don't. But I think in important places we do. Some things are very hard to test. Some things are very meaningless to test, right? Because once you start mocking everything up, right, then, so ideally some sort of end-to-end tests would be great, but these types of tests take a lot of effort and time to set up, right? But for me personally, of course, unit tests, we have that for the most part. All of the open source libraries that I wrote are, I think, almost fully 100% covered. But certain things are very, very hard to test meaningfully, where due to that they become meaningless, right? So unit tests are easy, and that is something that absolutely must be tested today, because AI is very good at that. But for example, testing the API properly, the way that we often do it in this industry, I find it very meaningless unless it's a proper end-to-end test. And when I say end-to-end, I mean your tests are run in a CI, fake database, staging database is populated with the data. Your endpoints are actually interfacing with the database properly. So the endpoints, for example, are tested properly, not with mocked data or whatever, right? So these types of tests I find more useful than, yeah. How to be consistent in coding? You would honestly need to be a bit more precise with that question. I don't know what you mean, consistent in coding. Yeah, more or less. I mean, the thing is, again, really, genuinely, like whenever it's so easy often to it's so easy often to overlook some of these things and overcomplicate them. But fundamentally, really, the question should always be like, why the hell am I doing this? Like, what is the point of this, right? Exactly. Let me see what the hell is happening here. Oh, I see. Yeah, but that's fucking dumb. Yeah, I dislike this very much. Yeah, let's see what AI says about this. It's so annoying to fix these because there's like 3 interconnected systems. There's SQLized, we have JSON schemas with another JSON validator, AJV, right? So I was asking just because I found, to me, that setting up tests for my project. So I think Josh, you're not wrong in that assessment. I think that is the answer when you talk to many people, but actually the reason for that isn't what you think, right? So TDD and BDD or any test-driven development type of workflow, right, is a habit that most of us don't have. So whenever I hear that somebody says, oh, it takes so long to write tests, what that actually means is that person simply doesn't work in a specific way. And I'm not referring to you, I'm also that person, right? So when you don't establish a specific set of rules and habits, everything seems like a burden, right? For example, if you were neglecting your errors, and that's why I love Golang, for example. Golang is a beautiful language because it treats the errors as first-class citizens. Due to that, right, you never neglect errors. Errors are as important as the values that you deal with, right? So for example, if you're a junior developer writing JavaScript and due to the exception handling, you're just printing errors, eventually when you have to make your software actually work, dealing with errors will feel like a burden because, well, you haven't dealt with them in time, right? So it's the same with tests. If the times when writing tests feel like a burden is the time when is probably that's often too late. You're already too late in the process. So you've done a lot of software, right? And so I think the TDD BDD approach is beautiful of writing software, but the hardest thing about it isn't writing tests. It's getting good habits. It's as like being fit, like, you know, having muscles and chest and stuff is super easy once you establish a workout regimen, right? And you go to gym 3 to 4 or 5 times a week. But once you get fat and you need to get back to something else, it's super hard. So that analogy is the same with writing tests, right? Like if you don't have it into your habit, well, then it's going to be hard, right? Is it good to use AI while learning new tech? Yeah, absolutely it is. You for sure want to use AI, yes. Exactly, Josh. I know. And that's kind of, you can see, you just affirmed what I just said, right? And again, this has nothing to do with you. Every single one of us is in that same bracket, right? That is not correct. I also don't understand why you went ahead and overcomplicated it this much. Let me just configure this a bit, like maybe like this. I think Go is probably one of the best languages you can invest your upskilling time with. So if you're wondering what language you should learn, I would say Python and Go are probably 2 languages that if they're not on top of your list already, they 100% should be on top of your list. For sure. No question about that. I think there is a demand, and I think that the demand is growing even more. The fuck? Where's the errors? Yeah, but that's not gonna work, man. That won't work. You can't just use a generic model. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, honestly. Okay, so the build has finished, I suppose. Let's take a look at the logs. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, that's production. Wait, let's go to localhost. Yeah, but honestly, so let me explain you the complexity, one complexity in my API that I deeply dislike. And that complexity is the only thing that I'm in fact unhappy with the code that I personally wrote. So majority of this code I'm proud of, and I care about it, and I take my time with it, because then I can build on top of it whatever I want. But there's one thing that I heavily dislike. Let me explain it. So we are using an ORM called Sequelize. I actually misspelled that, and because I have OCD, I will have to fix it. So we're using Sequelize, right? Let me show you. It's quite an interesting problem, and I almost started writing a library to solve it, but then I didn't have the time. Where's my draw.io? Draw. Yeah, here. So we are using Sequelize as our ORM. And then our Fastify, right? Our Fastify is using something called AJV, which is a C++ written JSON validator. It's called another JSON validator. So if you don't know, it's this, and I also wrote a UI library using on top of this. So what does this mean, right? Well, and then of course we have TypeScript as well, right? So we have this is a huge problem in many TypeScript-based projects. Then we have TypeScript, right? So Fastify endpoints are validated using JSON schema, right? So as you might know, you have, body, response, URL parameters, query parameters, etc., right? All of these things have to be validated. So with Fastify, that's why we also have Swagger as a first-class citizen for free out of the box. This is generated off of my validators, right? We have JSON schemas that look like this. There's some properties, whatever, and then, I don't know, title is type string, whatever, right? You get the point. So it's JSON schema. But then we infer the TypeScript types from this JSON schema. So we try to infer these types. So if we go to, let's say, meetups.types or model, actually, it's not the model, it's, let's say, schemas, right? So if we scroll all the way down, you can see here we're using this typebox library that enables us to infer types from JSON schema. So when we have schema like this, we want to be able to infer the type off of that. And that works, right? So you can see here, for instance, if we go here, we're saying, hey, export a new interface called meetups cover photos model. This is the model generic one, blah, blah, blah. And then, but this is where we do the, this is where we actually infer it. You see, we have this static utility, and then we infer the types. You can see when I hover over it, we get user ID, event, blah, blah. And you can see it's actually inferred off of this, off of this here, right? And that works. But then we also have Sequelize ORM, and Sequelize has its own models. So it has models that look like this, right? And that is the problem, right? That's why this thing that that AI was failing with a second ago, it was failing with it because it's getting confused about the types, because we have the schemas, we have the models, and then we have the so we have the ORM, we have the TypeScript, so these three kind of have to work together. So the types somehow have to match, right? And that is very, very painful, which is exactly what we kind of saw here now when we were passing this crap. Like there's just a lot of type assertions and bullshit like that. So that is kind of that's why I wish this was, let's say, Go or C# or even PHP, right? Because you have this cohesive environment where there's no well, actually, you could get into this issue there as well, but less likely than in the JavaScript world, right? So that is the actual problem. Okay, so this now works, and now we could kind of start going. Yeah, PHP. Yeah, PHP is a very nice language. Well, Laravel is a nice. Laravel makes it nice. But also PHP is not a bad language to learn. There's also WordPress. WordPress as a CMS still covers around 40% of the websites around the world. 40%, just FYI. Almost half of the websites on this planet are still running on WordPress. So if you're ever wondering what is another language worth learning to get gigs and freelance contracts, that's PHP for sure. And I mean, TechCrunch, for example, this thing is running on PHP. Fucking Facebook has majority of its microservices written in PHP, right? So, like it or not, I'm not as you know, I'm not a content creator or not an influencer. I just say it as it is. If TechCrunch, the biggest magazine, can run on WordPress, so can our sites that have 6 users a day on them, right? Java is still huge for sure. Yeah, definitely. These tools exist. They're not hyped. They're not talked about, but they are the tools that built the internet. Java, PHP, C++, C, right? These are the tools that are so incorporated into the world infrastructure that I don't think they will ever be obsolete, right? I mean, when you look at Pascal, COBOL, F#, etc., some of these languages, they're still present in so many of infrastructures around the world, right? So so for sure, right? Okay, let's try to run the database migrations and see if this is gonna work. Yeah, I need to source the env file. That's a bit weird. I'm not a fan of Java either. I'm not a fan of it. And I agree, actually. I agree with you 100%. It's just, yeah, my opinion doesn't kind of neglect its use or in any way, right? Because fundamentally, right, my opinion doesn't make certain thing less or more worthy. It just means that I prefer it or not. But PHP, Java, C#, C# is massively used here in Scandinavia. Probably the most amount of jobs. Sweden, Denmark, probably most developer jobs, most companies still write C#. Bunch of Angular in the front end because, you know, C# team at Microsoft is also part of developing Angular, right? So yeah, it's just, again, they're not, and by the way, fuck. I just need to see one thing here. Migrations, where's my migrations folder here? Q, utils, migrations, yes. I'll just generate a random migration just so I can actually random 1 to 3. I just need to take its timestamp and then I'll remove it. So if I go here to migrations, I'll literally take this timestamp, which is how this underneath Go library that actually runs the migration, how it knows it's gonna store this in a hash table type of database, metadata database. So I'll just do that and I'll go to my TS one and I'll actually paste this terribly generated timestamp by the AI. And then I'm gonna run this crap again, hoping that it now works. And now it works. Beautiful. Okay, so now it has actually migrated. If I refresh this crap, we should see meetup event. Here, actually, there's so much chat here. So let's take a look here. How is the job market for Golang as a fresher? Depending where, depends where. Its job market is vastly different across countries and continents, right? Okay, so we have user ID, event ID, notify at, created at, updated at. I don't like that we're using IDs as integers and not UID4s, for example, because that kind of has a bit of a security implications. But that's yeah, I would not know honestly in Asia. I have no idea. I live in Denmark, in Copenhagen, so I have zero idea how that is there. Okay, cool. So the migration worked. We have the table. Very good. Great, right? Now we would have to start we would need to go to our UI, which is not great yet. I'll probably do the UI part offline or like off stream, because it's just a lot of fiddling with random stuff, and it's typically not much back and forth. I actually have some okay, so there are actually two things that we have to do here. Last time when I streamed, we have introduced that another kind of endpoint where all the meetups now by default are drafts when they're created, and then the user has to yeah, you can see there's the status here. I don't know actually if you can see it from the chat. So we need to implement two things in the UI now, which is status. Like actually when we edit here, there should be a button somewhere here that says yeah, so let's actually do that. Let me actually close a bunch of this stuff. There was a lot of code written. So I'll do this. And yeah, to be honest, I think you nailed it, PJ Boy. I think you're absolutely right. It's so hard for me to do UI stuff in the stream because it's going back and forth with the chat and this, and then it's very hard to do something creatively because UI and UX are a massive experimentation part, right? You just have to try things out, move things left and right, so exactly, right? So okay, so let's in the meetup form we need to add a drop down at the bottom of the form where user can choose if the can change the status of the meetup, published, unpublished, published, draft, archived. Take a look at. I'm not gonna do this manually, especially now in a stream, and I actually, to be honest, wouldn't do it manually outside of the stream either, because this type of stuff is what AI is amazing for. I don't want to be building buttons anymore. I've done that for 20 years. I gave it everything it needs, and this is why I love AI so much. I don't have to do these stupid redundant tasks like now going myself, putting a fucking drop down here, like. No, I don't want to do that. No, man, like, dude, I built my own frameworks in the UI, my own libraries. I contributed to React, Redis. I don't need to prove to myself any of these things anymore, right? So this type of stuff, I'll never ever do this manually. Like this type because, and this is again why AI is so amazing if you're already under quotes an expert or a professional. I can literally tell it exactly. As you can see here, I'm not asking UI how to do it. I'm telling it exactly what it is that I want to do. And that is a fundamental difference between these so-called Y programmers, non-technical people. Like, if you know exactly what you want to do, you cannot do it faster than a computer. That's absolutely impossible. Because look at this, just opening 5 different files, finding a place and stuff. This is what computers are great at, right? And we have to let the computer do what it's good at, and we have to let ourselves do what we are good at, right? And actually it failed here. The status is not optional field. I don't know why it made it optional. That makes no sense. So yeah, I had to correct it though, but it's fine. Look at this. I mean, how amazing this is, man. It updated the fucking 4 files in like 1 minute, And here it is. Let's see if it actually works though. It should work, right? Well, that's now a question though. Did it work? Let's see. Published. Save. Oh, I see. I see. So it didn't work. So let's see why. Why is it making it up? Why are you asking if it's there, man? Status is always there, bro. Come on. Where is this reference coming from? Where is this form coming from, man? Oh, it's coming from this hook, I see. Okay. Okay, let's debug. Let's debug. Debug. Okay, so far so good. So we do pass this in. So our update is called. So what can we decipher out of this? Yep. And this is fucking terrible. Ah, I see. Okay, I can defend this code. I can defend this code. Yeah, I can defend this code for sure. Even though, yeah, but I can. So why is this service written as is, right? Because it's weird, right? You will not see anything like this. Well, it's quite clear, right? In a single request, we're sending multi-part data, right? So you can see if I actually go to the network tab and we find one of these things, right? You can see that we're not sending JSON. We're sending multi-part data because we are uploading an image potentially from this very view as well, right? And due to that, we need to append the other fields to the form data. So you can see here we have form data. So essentially the reason why it's such, right, is that we might also be uploading an image in this context as well. Now, you could say, well, we could simply do like the way we could solve this in simple words could be like, you know, object dot values body blah blah blah. So we could technically do this, right? Something like this, and then whatever the body has, just append it. But I actually don't care. Like, even though it's just I don't write if statements like this, so that's what I dislike the most. But yeah. Or we could just say const properties, right? Is something like this. Yeah. Or we could even manually type it out, but I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, because this is very deterministic and very explicit, right? So that's really it. Okay, let's see now if it works. So if we go here and change it to published and save, because I think we will also need to update the endpoint itself, because I think endpoint seems to be failing now as well. Actually, no, it works now. Okay, good. And now we can also see it published. Very good. Actually, let me just check. Are we storing this meetup stuff anywhere in the Redux? Do I have some Redux tools? I do. So, do I have... No, what the fuck is this, bro? This is not my state. This is... Okay. Is there some meetups global state? No, there isn't. Okay, good. I was just thinking, is there any global state? There isn't. All right, so that has actually worked. Okay, cool. Now, the next thing we need to do in this demo bullshit, like, so we have to find some event that's in the future, not in the past. And so we need to add, so let's actually do that manually first. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to this meetup. I'm gonna go to the events. Actually, how did I build that so far? Edit, I guess, events, organize an event, yeah. Programmer, network, stream, next Tuesday, whatever. Event type, live stream, summary, just wasting time and my life with random people over chat, no value at all, just being honest there. And let's imagine that's Tuesday at 6, whatever. Sure. Available spots 0. I don't want to see anyone in there. It's just better to code on my own. Address, Alex's live stream of strangers. Cool. Should be greater than 2. Fuck. So somebody has to be in my stream. Okay, great. Great. So programming network stream Tuesday. It's here, attending share. So you can see here, there's this save. And I think this is what I actually intended for the sake of this cron job we were building, right? So now when you click on this, actually this should say notify, not save, but we're gonna fix that in a second. Shit, I didn't expect when searching for attending that I'm gonna get this much crap. All right, it's this one, right? Attend event. And then somewhere there should be like save. Yeah. So get notifications, I suppose, right? Ooh. Get notified. Fuck, it has to be one word. Yeah, for now, right? So when we click this crap, right now I have just a arbitrary like set timeout there just to showcase the loader, the asynchronicity nature of it, right? And that's fine. And then we have handle notify that this event sidebar gets. So where is handle notify is here, right? And then this is in some custom hook that I wrote, and then handle notify. Yeah, great. Toast service. Okay, so this is where we're gonna implement it, right? So let's just say console log notify. Sure. And then this is where we have to call the new endpoint that we've created. It's gonna actually put a record inside of the actual thing. So as you can see, we have an arbitrary 500 milliseconds. We get notified. So this is where we're gonna have to now call the shit, right? Yeah, okay. And then we'll probably need an endpoint that gives us the status if the user has already done that, right? So we'll need to get some information when we fetch this. So we'll probably need to fetch these records alongside, or we're gonna do a join with the existing meetup that's being fetched. And we're gonna do just a left join saying, hey, give me also information about the user's notifications, the user that's actually visiting this, right? So then we can show this highlighted that, hey, you know, that you already selected it, whatever, but we'll get there. So yeah, so now here we need to go to our services in the UI, and somewhere we probably have meetups. Yeah, here. And then let's create a, yeah, exactly. Ah, I love AI. Oh my God, it's so nice. So fucking nice. Is this the one though? Where's our swagger? Yeah. Subscribe. I think it's this one, right? Yeah. So did it actually write it properly? Let's see. No, it's not. It didn't. Okay, good. Beautiful. That's very good. So now if we get back here, right? we'll have to say, I guess we have something like meetups HTTP service, right? Yeah, I mean, that's it, I suppose. Yeah. We do some due diligence here. We probably need some dependencies to this effect. Fuck this shit. Let's actually ignore that. How do I quick fix it? Let's do it like this. Lazy fix. All right, so technically now, if we don't need to await for this or anything like that, even though we could, but let's actually await and then just print something afterwards, right? Actually, we don't have to. So let's just first see if we're gonna hit the right endpoint. So if we go back here, go to the network and then click notify. Okay, well, we're hitting something very good. Must be object. Okay, well, that's a very useless message, is it? But we're almost there. So let's see. So we're expecting some. Let's go to models router. Models.router. What the? Oh no, sorry. Meetups.router. That's what I meant. If we take a look at the no, that's not what I wanted. If we take a look at the body schema, it's expecting the timings. And the timings are these, right? So that's what it's failing with, right? So let's just hard code it for now, and then we're gonna also use AI to implement the UI part of that, because I'm not gonna waste time on that. So use event, and this thing is obviously missing the body, so I'm gonna just hard code one of the values. So here I'm just gonna say, actually, what was it? Meetups router. What was the body? So the body expects the timings, which is an array of one of these values, I suppose. Okay, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so if we go back to this crap here, we're gonna pass here timings, and then we're gonna say 1 week before. We're gonna extend the type here. Oh, is it though? Okay. It is an array. Okay, sure. How did I implement my request libraries? So it is body. So what the fuck are you complaining about, bro? What? I'm missing a comma. Interesting. Okay. So going back to this bad boy here, this needs to be wrapped in an array, right? Okay. Let's try that now. We're just trying out. We want it to succeed, right? Notify. There we go. Beautiful. So if we take a look at our database records now and this new table we've created. Fuck, I got an email already. I thought it already worked end to end. Silly. Meetup event attendees. No. What? What was the... No, that's not... What? What was the table name? Meetup notifications, right? Yeah. Meetup event notifications. Is it? It is, yeah. So why am I not seeing the record? All right, let's see. Let's go to the router. Oh, I see. Let's actually do some debugging here. So I'm going to do it again, and then we're going to take a look at our Docker logs, our container logs here. So we're going to hit it again and see if we actually get to that point. So let's say notify. This should actually, yeah, so we do actually get it. So here's the record. So we find the event. Sure, great. Where were we? Service, right? So this we find, and then most likely here we exit somewhere because of the timing issues, right? Because, like, most likely if we actually go, where was it? If we go here, we're saying, hey, notify me in 1 week before. Makes no sense, right? Because I made the event 2 days from now, next Tuesday, 3 days. So, but I think if we do 1 hour before, we should actually see the record somewhere. So let's try that. Notify, sure. And I think at this point, it could technically be stored. Let's see. And there we go. Nice, nice. So as you can see, it is stored now because that business logic we wrote. So here's the event ID, user ID, which is me, and the ID of the notification. We have the timestamp when to notify. So we're saying notify me at 3 p.m. On 21st, so 3 hours before the event. And then blah, blah, blah. Then it's going to get mute. So actually it works, right? So as you can see, though, we're going to have to do some so the options in the UI will have to be dynamic based on the event time. So for example, if I come here and event starts in 3 hours, I shouldn't be showing an option notify me in a week from now, right? Because that makes no sense. So we're going to have to kind of, that list of options is going to have to account for this date when the event starts. So when you actually hover, but we're going to do that now with the AI, and that's going to be great. And then what we have to also test is the cron job, right? And the cron job itself, which we implemented with not RabbitMQ, BullMQ, we're going to have to, yeah, we'll test that somehow as well. But yeah, okay, that's awesome. That's great. So now the UI part, right, which we're going to just instruct, because we have all the logic, all the components, so we don't have to do this manually. So, okay, so let's just say here, any good resources to learn React quickly? Gemini, guided learning, ChatGPT, and of course, official website is always the best. If you want to learn Rust, read official Rust documentation. If you want to learn Golang, the best place to learn Golang is reading the Golang playground. So you go get started, and then you go to, you find there like Go tour, right? So for example, if you want to learn Go, this is the place. If you want to learn reactjs, it is the official website. If you want to learn Angular, if you want to learn anything, I would say official documentations are the best. Keep in mind that every single almost video tutorial on Udemy, on Front-End Masters, and any of these websites that's recorded is always recorded by some person sitting in their room, reading this crap here, and then saying that in words, right? So I think like if you want to learn Rust, you go here and you go get started, and you go, you know, you find there, actually, no, you go to the playground, for example, and you start messing with it here, and then you go to learn. So I'm just throwing out vastly different things, right? But for example, you can see this place here is also super nice. So sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's hard to believe maybe, oh, there's this golden resource somewhere else, but there isn't really. The best place to learn any technology is typically on the official, if you want to learn PHP, you say PHP learn, and it's not PHP tutorial that actually sucks, but I think PHP also had their own Laravel, no, PHP docs, yeah, documentation, probably the best place to start as well, etc., etc., etc. Okay, cool. So let's instruct the AI to do the front end for us, right? Because we already know what we want, blah blah blah. Okay, so let's exactly tell it what we want. So now we need to finalize the UI part of allowing the user to choose to be notified about the meetup event. The handle notify already works inside use events, but we need to enhance this and ensure that the are rendered dynamically, right? Essentially, which options a user can set to get notified are directly related to the dates and time of the event. So for instance, if user if the event that user is trying to subscribe to is in 1 hour, it makes no sense to show an option for 1 week before, right? Okay, that's one thing. And then actually, lastly, wait, let me take a screenshot here. Essentially, when user clicks the notify button or maybe hovers over it, we should show our select input or similar, where user can choose multiple options of when to get notified. Okay, let's try that. Alex, I think you asked about this already. No, I think I was always keen on it, man. I was using AI since day one, and I'm a massive promoter of it. I think AI, when you know what you're doing, when you're very good at what you do, I think it's absolutely fascinating. But if you, of course, don't know what you're doing, then the value diminishes a lot. It's still very useful. But for using it as almost like my second employee, I think it's absolutely fascinating, right? I no longer, like, now I can architect my solutions. I can spend time using my experience over the years to make good decisions, right? And offload clicking and typing the thing that I wrote 7 billion times myself. And that is fascinating. I dreamed literally about that, right? Cassie, my friend, good evening. So yeah, AI is fascinating. And better you are at the craft that you do, more fascinating it becomes, because I'm not using AI to tell me what to do. I'm telling it exactly what it has to do with exact instructions, right? So that is a massive difference, right? So if you can tell it what to do and you know when it does it bad or wrong, that is where the power is. Of course, if you're completely clueless and you're just using it and you just say, sure, that's great. But it's absolutely, if you're not, I mean, again, are you using local LLMs? I've actually tried a bunch of local LLMs. It is absolutely terrible, horrible. I don't know how to say it. I have a bunch of servers here. I have the money to spend on hardware, and I spend thousands and thousands of euros. I managed to run 12 gigabytes model few times, 12 billion parameters, 8 billion parameters and stuff. It's very, very slow. I mean, it's so slow that it makes no sense. So let me put it in perspective. Like, right now, I'm using OpenAI on some features on Programmer Network, right? So for example, let me just put it in perspective for you. So right now for Programmer Network, if you want to upload an image, for instance, like this, I'm using OpenAI to validate that this is not a pornographic image, for example, right? Let me just put it in perspective for you. So if I was to upload a pornographic image now, you know how much it costs to validate that that's not the actual image? 600 tokens. 600. So one image is 600 tokens. That is in literal money, almost free. It's so many zeros and then one that it would take my users to upload thousands of images, so I pay $1. So what I'm trying to say in simple words, if you want to run your local AI, you really, really, really have to have a use case of why. So you're doing something so incredible, you're doing something so secretive that you don't want to even pull data through the REST API, right? So OpenAI, I'm using it on Programmer Network for a couple of things. So for example, if I type now, let me show you what I use it on Programmer Network. If I type here, reactjs is a great UI library, right? If I do this, what we're doing right now, we're telling the OpenAI, hey, classify this into a specific tag. So right now, there is a tag for this post. So basically what you needed machine learning for before, I'm doing that now with one prompt with AI. This is also super, super free, right? So running local models it's so far out. It's right. And I mean, even if you had, so again, one thing is having RAM. And again, we're talking, which RAM are we talking about? You need a VRAM on your GPU. So the problem isn't RAM, right? So the problem isn't RAM. You can have an infinite amount of RAM. You need the RAM on your GPU because every single model wants to get loaded onto the GPU, not onto your RAM, right? So that is the difference. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I'm not against it. I mean, I'm also, I can't wait until we have AI that can run locally. Don't misunderstand me. I mean, that would be amazing, right? Because I can then make it part of my Kubernetes cluster here, and we can run amazing shit, and I can keep my programming network or any other project fully owned by me. Because right now, all of the infrastructure, all of the data is on my hard drives. So I already own 99% of things. That's why I love to bare metal. I love to host things myself. I mean, actually, let me just show you. Give me 1 second. So if I go here, where is it? Stream monitor. So right, so this is where all of our infrastructure runs. So this is where our data is, right? This is where, this is where here are our hard drives, literally where our files are and stuff, right? So if I could have my AI also doing things there and I don't need to go over REST to third-party services, fuck yeah, that would be awesome, right? But, right? So, and actually, if you care about, if you want to know how I done this, I wrote a guide on that. This is the stuff, this is my server. And if we actually go to the hardware part here, I kind of have everything. I also wrote how much money I spent over time. So there's an Excel sheet with costs and stuff like that. So if you care to know, but fundamentally, this is why I would love self-hosted AI. But right now it's like so far from that, right? So I don't think it's even, I think I paid like $10. You competitor to Hetzner, that would be nice. I mean, I got you guys to use Hetzner, many of you. If Hetzner knew how many users I sent it their way, it's of course, it's a work in progress. You never finish local bare metal hosting at your home, but so I have a lot more stuff to write there and finalize, but yeah. Okay, let's see if this guy has done, by the way, anything. Okay, so let's actually go here. Oh, wow. Okay, what? That's fascinating, man. Wait, what? Wow. Dude, are you kidding me, bro? Wait a minute. Oh my fucking god. It literally did it. It's so crazy. I mean, it literally did what I told it, right? I mean, is this perfect? Of course not, but who the fuck cares if it's perfect, man? Now I can make it perfect, right? So that's beside the point, right? It's just the fact that, yeah, now you can actually do this. I don't know how is it using PoppyJS or whatever to position it? I actually don't know. But either way, it doesn't matter. It's a good starting point. It's a good starting point, and who cares, right? It probably added these titles and stuff for accessibility reasons. I have zero accessibility, unfortunately, done on the platform. And this is literally a pure function that computes exactly what I said. So which notification timings we're going to include. You can see we're filtering them based on certain time. Yes, I mean, do I like this code? No. Will I change it? Absolutely. But it's there. It's a good starting point, right? Yeah, this is not good, I think. I don't think this makes any sense. Wait. I think that's a design flaw right there, I think. Wait, let me see. Yeah. Oh, no, never mind. It's good. No, it is good. Okay, good. No, never mind. All good. Because we are including the user ID. Okay, very good. Jesus, man, it implemented even this. Yeah, Jesus Christ, it works. Oh my God, so nice. How fascinating is that, man? How fascinating is that? Okay, this fucking sucks. So now, of course, we have to brush it up. Why are you inlining that stuff and not using some interface? Very good. I'm impressed. It extended our hook, right? Yes, nice. Okay, I mean, you could say, well, why do we have so many? Could we have like not done this prop drilling that we're doing here? Could we have consumed? Sure, but I mean, I don't care, right? That's a tiny design flaw. Also, you could say this could have been an interface, right? Simple Cookie, hey buddy, I remember you, man. How you doing? Thank you very much for saying hi, man. Yeah, man, I came back to stream a day or two ago, so yeah. Okay, so I mean, I will not merge this today. I need to sit in silence off stream and review this properly, because I think AI did some of the awesome stuff here. So no complaints. It's like I hired somebody to do it for free, so I would be an asshole to bitch about it, right? So I think it's awesome. I think it's very clean, almost as clean as I like it. But I will need to do just a tiny bit of, I mean, some of this stuff here can be cleaned up and whatever. Wait, what is it complaining about? Use state action. I have not. Use state action. I think that came with one of the most recent versions of React, if I recall. I think one of my colleagues sent it to me. Yeah. I remember this. I remember with my colleague Lee, we were discussing this. Yeah. This is very interesting. I remember. Yeah, exactly. Because you just use this directly with the form submit handler. So it's basically good when you work directly with forms, right? So when you don't want to, so when you're using semantic forms, you essentially do just this. And then I think this is a very good pattern, and it's actually very strange that it took them so long to do it, right? But fundamentally, this is awesome because they're using the action on the form and then passing the form action. Then you're gonna get some. So basically, they extract the native HTML5, they extract the native events that the form natively throws, right? I think I use form tag pretty much everywhere, and the beauty about let me show you. Many people don't know this. Actually, forms, plain HTML forms, are quite fascinating. Actually, so for example, native HTML form errors and CSS properties. Let me show you one thing. You probably know this, but you probably know this simple cookie. But let me show you. So people underestimate the native HTML5 behavior. So you can see, for example, you have these pseudo selectors in CSS where you can say if the input is invalid, if it's valid, and you probably know this, right? But there's more to that. If we actually go down here somewhere, I don't validating, yeah, here. Exactly, right? So you can see you have this check validity stuff that comes natively. Let's try to find. Yeah, here it is. Look. So you have some event listener on the input, and then you can see email.validity type mismatch. So there's so much capability to extract from the browser itself instead of creating all of these fully custom JS-based things, right? And my assumption with this, if these guys in the React team, contributors, are smart enough, they have probably consumed these native events, wrapped it in their synthetic whatever. React has their own synthetic sugar event, and then they're extracting stuff from there. I can't see it being anything else. It has to be this, right? Maybe. To be very frank with you, thank you very much for the reminder. Actually, I'm gonna bookmark this again because I actually wanted to try this, but old habits die hard, right? So I'm actually, because I'm not gonna commit this yet, because this is gonna remain on my computer still, because let's face it, we still need to do some due diligence there. I honestly am happy with the outcome that we did today in the stream. I mean, to be very frank with you, we could have went with full, so we still went with bull MQ, we still have a system that we can use, and I still need to test that, obviously, but I think the fact that we didn't go full, event-driven route is better. I think this cron job is gonna be I think it's gonna be sufficient for a long time. Let's see, where was this config q? Yeah, and yeah, I'll need to go probably the main piece of code that I'll have to go through is this part here. Make sure that there's some transactions, some retry mechanisms and stuff like that. I also happen to remember there was something called bullmq dashboard that I could set up locally as part of our Docker compose. Actually, you know what? Let's actually try that. So if we go to our Docker compose here, let's actually say that Docker compose. Let's implement bullmq dashboard image as part of our Docker compose, because we have just set up bullmq as part of our... let's actually maybe do that. Simple cookie, exactly, man. And if you're not already at your work, this is how you become tech lead, by coming up and just doing more and providing more than the others. At least that has been my career path, how I got into technical leadership. I just did more and I was more interested than others. That's really all it takes sometimes. Yeah, I mean, this would be awesome if it works, right? Let's give it a shot. Okay, so bullmq dashboard image. I see. Okay, that's kind of... yeah, that's weird. Even though if it works, it's actually not weird. But I think having a tech lead is good for many reasons. But also, again, if it works, if it's flat hierarchy, even better. If it works. That's always a philosophical question. Things can work, but can they work better? That's always right. Oh, Ah, I see. I see. Makes sense. All right, let's see if this container is going to actually run. And if we... Oh, here we go. There we go. So now we can actually observe our events, at least locally for the debugging reasons. So essentially here you can see... actually, do they have a... block clients? Yeah, I don't fucking know. Whatever. But here we will actually see our crons. And... So this is going to be good. This is just a UI over boolmq, but this is going to be useful in development. Let's actually... let me actually do one thing. Where's our Swagger? Just so I can... So development services maybe. Swagger. Yes. Yes. Cool. No, exactly. I mean, I think the way that you formulated your thoughts is completely understandable, and I think that's a massive. So I think the way that you formulated your last sentence, a simple cookie, just indirectly tells to me that people are just used to shitty managers, right? I'm a tech lead, and I mean, in total, I've been a tech lead for almost 7 years, and now I'm a tech lead almost past 4 years, and I don't think that I've ever literally even once mandated or enforced anything. I think a good manager, or somebody at least who tries to self-reflect and be a good manager, always tries to provide solutions in a way where we can actually in fact agree. So it's more about being there as a person that helps when there is no agreement rather than enforcing agreement. That's my style, at least. So I'm not there to necessarily ever enforce it. That would be idiotic and people would start hating me. It's more about there to guide things to the agreement, right? And of course, if 4 of the people in my team want one thing and I don't want it and I don't have the arguments, that would be silly to enforce, right? So I agree. It's just a lot of people are used to having so shitty managers that oftentimes there's a lot of upfront prejudice about potential outcome, which doesn't have to be bad. I think it's true. A lot of managers are pretty terrible at managing people, and also tech lead's job is oftentimes not to manage people, which is also bad because you cannot be any sort of manager without knowing how to work with people, right? So a good manager, whatever he or she does, has to know how to deal with people. You can be a tech lead, engineering manager, senior engineering manager, CTO, engineering director, whatever you are, you have to have people skills. All right, fellas, I've been streaming for 3 hours, and actually, to be very frank with you, I wish I can stream for 10 more hours. I really enjoy it. But my wife and kid are there, and I'm starting to feel a little bit bad not being with them, and my wife needing to take care of 2 kids. So I think I'm going to go and spend some time with them, with my baby and my other kid and my wife. It's been really fun. One thing I've learned this stream is that I'm going to try more to include people, PJ Boy and Simple Cookie and all of you guys. Thank you very much. I mean, it's please when I'm online, I'm not streaming much, not a typical content creator or streamer, but when I'm here, I really would appreciate if you can just, let's throw ideas around. Let's try to build things together, because I think you guys will also have more fun being here than just like zombies, like what the fuck is this guy doing? So I very much appreciate you, like interaction between us. I think that's awesome. Take care, Cassie, Free Space, Argentina, and everybody. Thank you very much. I wish you guys the best. Tomorrow is the work day, so need to go to work. So I'll see you guys soon in a day or 2 or 3, who knows. But I'm going to try to stream more, I promise. Laters, everybody. Have a good one, guys.